What up, GLG crew? We got purple black Luffy here. Today I went 5-0 in our locals, which, hey, take it. It's pretty cool. So what the leader does is Dawn ×1. All your characters get +1 cost, right? So that alone's pretty good, like defensively. And then on your turn, obviously, if you return 2 Dawn, you get a Dawn back active and a Dawn back rested. It's like a relatively standard list, but like a little personalized. So we'll go ahead and start with the cards. Obviously we got 4 of the Law Searcher. So this is gonna check the top 4 of your deck for a Straw Hat or Heart Pirates type card with a cost greater than 1. So unfortunately it doesn't search out your Gum Gum Giants, but it searches out like half of your 2Ks, and then some of your like vital ramping pieces, some blockers and whatnot. So this is like, this is a good turn 1 play, but in general, I actually like to just get it in my trash if I can. And you'll see why. You probably know why, but I'll explain it later. And then next we got our 2K counters. So first we got 2 toy soldiers, one-legged toy soldiers. So this 2 cost activate main gives the character -3. So it just, it's a little greedy, to be honest. But I feel like this is better than, it gives the deck a little more range for board control than like other 2Ks that have like minimal effects. So sometimes you can play this off Gecko and get the minus and then like top knot, or if you're on like 7-8 Dawn, you can go this plus Sanji 5 cost to like KO and 8. So which is really good, like KO a Gecko or Rayleigh, stuff like that. So solid card. I don't use it too often. And the other thing too that's nice, you can play it out ahead of time. If you have like nothing good in your hand really, you can play it out on like turn 1, turn 2 to set up for like a later Sanji or whatever. So that's kind of nice. I don't really tend to do that very often, but you can. So anyways, next up, Black Maria. So everyone should know what this card does. Unless you're new to the game, then maybe you don't. So activate main, you can add up to 5 rested Dawn. And then at the end of the turn, you have to return Dawn to equal to your opponent. So what this does is it essentially allows you to ramp 1 Dawn 1 time. So like the first time you use it, let's say you're on 3 Dawn, your opponent's on 2. You add rested Dawn. At the end of the turn, you return down to 2, and then your leader effect, or that proctors your leader effect, so you get 2 Dawn back. So it's like a good ramp card. If it sticks, it's good because sometimes you like play Kaido, you can get the Dawn back. There's random times it comes up. This card is super good against purple Luffy. If you're going second, any purple deck that ramps, Nico Robin, purple Luffy, what else? Red purple Luffy. Like you're gonna double or triple ramp with this card. So if you're going second, they ramp leader ability, and now you're on 4 Dawn, you use Black Maria. That puts you to 6. So next turn you're on 8. So like turn 3 you're on 8 Dawn, which is kind of crazy. And if you have the right cards in hand, you just like do some nasty stuff. Next up we got Usohachi. So this one's gonna be searchable. Again, you probably know what this card does. If you have 8 or more Dawn, just rest a 5 or less. So it's a staple. There's no like. Those are the best 2Ks, the ones I just showed you. Like Usohachi allows you to go for game, or maybe you're super ahead on like hand size and you just want to go for board. Rest a character, swing into it, whatever. Next up's the Sanji. So this, if I wasn't running the one-legged toy soldier, I'd probably run 2 more of these. This card's super good sometimes. When you have like nothing good to play on like your 6-7 Dawn turn, just throw down a 6K blocker. It hurts a little bit, but in the end it pays off because your top end's pretty solid, and then having like you know, almost like a 6K leader. If you put a Dawn on leader, it's a 7 cost. So it's pretty difficult to remove. Also, if you go down less or 2 or more Dawn less than your opponent, it's a 3 cost. So like, you know, it happens. You get a 3 cost blocker. Feels pretty good. We have 4 of the Zoro. So this card's super good. So essentially what it does, you can return 1 or more Dawn to your Dawn deck, and then he adds 1 active, and then that proctors your leader effect to get another 1 rested, another 1 active. So you return, basically you play them out, you return 2, and then you get 2 active Dawn back and 1 rested Dawn back. So this is your main ramper. You'd rather see this than Black Maria. When you play it out and use that effect, it's like a 1 cost because you're getting the Dawn back. So you could play it out and then swing 7, play it out, do a search, whatever you need to do. Next up, we got Frankie. So this is what makes like this is what allows your deck to stabilize. So this Frankie, what it does, it's a blocker, first of all. Second of all, on play, you can Dawn -2, trash a card, draw 2 cards. So you're going neutral in hand size, but it allows you to get a Dawn back active. So like there's times where if you're on like, you know, 8 Dawn, you want to play like this in a 5 cost or something, and then you could play this, get the Dawn back, and then play the 5 cost. So and then you're just cycling. So you're cycling cards like Zoro you might not want in the late game, or just other random dead cards you think you probably aren't gonna need. Our other blocker, we have 2 Shirahoshi. Honestly, I can't imagine a better card to have in this spot. I think you need the extra set of blockers. Okay, sorry, I'll explain what it does. So on play, so it's a 4 cost 0 power character. It's a blocker. On play, give something -4. So like if you have nothing really that great to do, Shirahoshi top knot, you bottom decked at 8 cost for essentially 5 Dawn. So then you still have, if you're on 10, you still have 5 Dawn to like mess around with. Next we have 4 of the 5 cost Sanji. This card also amazing. This is like your best 6 Dawn play, 7 Dawn play. So Sanji's a 5 cost 6K on play. If you have a cost 6 or greater, he KOs a 5 cost or less. So super good. You can pair it with the one-legged soldier Shirahoshi and like KO an 8 or a 9, which is also super good. It's like the value of that card is crazy. Just you do have to have a Dawn on your leader to get the Sanji up to 5 if you're playing on curve. Otherwise, like if you have a Sanji or a Gecko or something, you can just play it out and you don't necessarily need to spend the Dawn on your leader if you're like trying to do some shiesty stuff, you know. But yeah, this is a 4 of, it's like, you need to see this against Doflamingo. That's like obviously the big boogeyman. And if you don't, you're probably gonna lose. I'm gonna be honest, probably gonna lose because this, you pop something and then you're able to trade into their bodies with like a 6K every time. With the Dawn on leader, it's a 6 cost, which they could still Gravity Blade, but it's whatever. Okay, next, I lied. There's one more blocker. We have 1 copy of Sabo. So this I like because when I was first trying out the deck, I feel like it really struggled with consistency. Like consistency and seeing your pieces, because I do think the deck is really good, but there's times obviously you don't draw your stuff, and you're not really like filling your trash for like Gecko plays like a normal like Lucci or something. So it could be hard. So Sabo's like a good, obviously the effect being super good, unkillable board, but then also being able to draw 2 trash too. It just comes up like setting up for Gecko, getting a Law in your trash, or getting a Frankie in your trash. Next up, we have 3 of the Sanji, the Rush Sanji. So this is another really good card on curve, even late game. Just helping you like battle for board. So he's a 7 cost 7K with a 1K counter, and then on play if you return 1 or more Dawn. So obviously in this deck you're probably gonna return 2. to get the Dawn back active and 1 rested. So in that case, he's essentially a 6 cost. And then he rests an opponent's 6 costs or less. So that's like most blockers in the game. So if you want to go for game, it's great. It's a great card against Dofi because it allows you to like rest their boa, you know, swing 6 maybe with your leader into something, and then 7 into whatever. And then with a Dawn on leader, it's an 8 cost. So like if you're playing against any black deck, like 8 is not an easy card to remove. So if you already had like Sanji on board and Zoro, like you're talking, you have a 4, a 6, and an 8 cost. Your board's pretty solid. The problems that come up are like against Shanks, and then they don't care about cost. So that part's like sort of irrelevant, which is like can be sad, you know. You don't get to use your leader ability to the fullest extent. But next up we have Gecko Moria. You know, you can't be a black deck if you don't play this card. It's just too good. Being able to ramp to Gecko and then play something like Frankie, Shirahoshi, Law, One-Legged Soldier. They're all solid targets, but obviously the best combo is Frankie plus Law. So essentially search with Law, draw a card. Even if it's like a non-counter like Zoro, you can use Frankie's effect, -2, trash Zoro, draw 2 more cards, and then get a Dawn back active. So it's like makes Gecko like he's a 7 cost if you think about it. And then you just got a blocker, and then you plussed, 2 cards in hand, and you got, you know, a blocker and a 9 drop on board. So super solid. Even if I don't have Frankie, I know it's like tempting. If you play purple black, you're like, I want the mega combo, you know, the Gecko Frankie Law. But I'll still just play out Zoro, like Frankie or Gecko Zoro, and then return 2 Dawn, get 2 Dawn back. So essentially ramp me to 9 so that I can have a Dawn up for Gum Gum Giant and be at 9 next turn so I can Gecko again or Kaido or whatever. So if you have it, like having a 9k on board is super solid. So I would just play it most of the time. Because once you get this on board, it's pretty oppressive having like constant 9k swing, and then Dawn on later, it's a 9 cost, which tough to remove. Next card, we have 2 of the 9 cost Kaido. It's probably my favorite card in the game, guys. This thing is an absolute animal, no pun intended. So 9 cost, 10k, tank. All right, on play, Dawn -5. KO is 6 cost, and then he has rush. So like, there's no downside to Kaido, especially in this deck. You get 2 of those Dawn back, so it's like Dawn -3. So if you're at 10, next turn you'll be at 9. If you're on 9, next turn you'll be at 8. So if you ramp to Kaido on 9, you can still play Gecko the next turn. So that makes this card like super playable. If you have something like One-Legged Soldier on board, you can use it and then kind of pop a 9, but usually you don't get that off. Like, I would not game plan for that because you're just wasting a 2k if you're like trying to do all that. But yeah, there were like a lot of times I considered cutting this card for the 9 cost Rush Luffy. It draws a card, but Kaido just being able to pop something and still have Rush is like so good. Like against Dofi, it's good. Pop their Jozu, pop their Boa, and swing into something else. For clearing board, I mean, he's essentially going to clear 2 bodies, or going for game even. Pop their blockers, swing, whatever. So, super good card. Only a 2 of because obviously you can't just keep playing this card back. You have other combos that are usually better, like following up with the Geckos, usually better. Last character we have is this 10 cost Luffy. I feel like it needs to be a 1 of in the deck. Just because if you ramp to it and it works out, like this card's so busted. If you play this and follow up with like a Zoro and then ramp you ramp with this, like the Dawn goes crazy, and then you have a 12k on board. You can do things like play out the blocker Sanji as a 3 cost. You can play Black Maria to like just be back at 10 the next turn. And this is like super good against Black Yellow Luffy. So I'll just kind of let them like clear my board, be a 9k leader, who cares? And then I'll play the Luffy, make their leader a 5k again, and then be able to like actually pressure them. So super good one of though, because half the time this card's not even playable, and you're just gonna end up like trashing it off Frankie. All right, going into events, we have 3 Top Knot. So this is a 2 cost, Dawn -2, bottom deck of 4 cost or less. And then the triggers the activate main. So usually I won't trigger it just because it sets you back. You don't hit your leader ability on your opponent's turn. But this is super good against Dofi, being able to bottom deck like any of their characters. Especially with this leader effect, it's almost like a 1 cost because you get the Dawn back. Like I said earlier, you could pair this with Shirahoshi, one-legged soldier. If you're on 7 Dawn, this is crazy. 7 Dawn, you go like playing against Dofi. If you can go like Top Knot, bottom deck something, get the Dawn back, put Dawn on your leader, play the Sanji, and then swing 6. Like that's crazy, right? You just cleared 2 bodies on 7 Dawn, established a 6k. So yeah, it's only 3 because it's not always playable in certain matchups, and sometimes you just prioritize like playing out bodies over bottom decking one of their things. Like if you have Frankie and this, you can't hit your leader ability twice in 1 turn, so like you can't always just keep minusing Dawn. I think 3 is fine. Next we have, we'll just do this, Gum Gum Giant, obviously 4 of. Super good card. Everyone already knows that. I don't even know if I need to explain it, but it's a counter, 1 cost, Dawn -2, trash 1 card, draw 2, and then your leader gets, or something gets plus 4k. So this just helps you like cycle. If you have all dead cards in hand, they swing 7, use it, boom. This also helps you like protect your board against like Shanks. If they're playing like, they drop 10 drop, and then you can like save your Gecko with this. So yeah, I mean, everyone already knows, it's a super good card. Lastly, we got 2 of the when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. So I don't see a ton of lists running this. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I said earlier with the consistency, being able to play this out, because like a lot of times you just have extra Dawn because of the way your leader ability works. Like you'll have 3 active Dawn and you're like, well, do I swing 8? It's kind of like a waste, right? What's nice about this is it searches, you look top 3, you could search Straw Hat, Heart Pirates, or Kid Pirates. You don't play any Kid Pirates, but you could search out your 1 cost Law Searcher. You could search out Gum Gum Giant, Frankie, Sanji, Zoro, Usohachi, the world's your oyster. And the best part is the trigger is just, activate main. So you trigger this off live, you search out that Gum Gum Giant you desperately needed, and then you just win the game. So I think this super good card is a 2 of, like getting the extra search, a little extra consistency. I hit this off trigger like a weird amount of times, and just being able to like trigger this, even searching out a 2k. Now your opponent's like, dang, now I can't go for game. You know what I mean? So I think it's a staple. Hot take, staple 2 of. I wouldn't increase it just because the deck space is kind of tight. Talk about some of the matchups I played tonight. So I played 2 Doflamingos, 2 Shanks, and 1 Purple Luffy. So I was super stoked, right? Because it's like all meta stuff. And then like I didn't play a Lucci, but Lucci's usually like pretty good matchup for us. Going against Dofi, I think I went first in 1 match, second in 1 match. it's tough. That's for sure your toughest matchup because they can aggro you down, which is kind of what they would do, is to get me down to 2 life. You kind of have to play like that starve strategy, which I don't love, but you have to. If you keep feeding them cards from their life, they're just going to keep playing out bodies, and then you're going to lose. You really want to see Top Knot and Sanji. Those are like your bread and butter cards in that matchup. If you could establish Gecko Frankie, I mean, you're looking good, but I wasn't able to in my matchups tonight. So I kind of thought I was cooked, but I didn't even need it. In the end, it all worked out. If you see enough Sanjis, enough Top Knots, you're chilling. Unfortunately, if they just go like Jinbei Weevil, and you're probably just going to lose. And that's just like one of the downsides to playing this deck. But Delphi doing that'll beat most decks if you think about it. So, Shanks, I feel like I played 2 Shanks. One was GLG James. It was a pretty close matchup. I feel like you want to go first in that matchup. You typically want to go first in general, because if you go Zoro or Black Maria on 3, that'll put you to 6 on your next turn. You can go Sanji to pop whatever they played, and then Gecko on 8. That's like your strongest curve. So unfortunately against GLG James, that's what I saw. The other Shanks matchup was a little closer, but essentially like you being able to put out Geckos so early just makes them like feel so behind to where like if they drop 10 drop, it's really not even like doing a whole lot for them. You do have to worry about like cards in hand. You don't want to get too low on cards in hand, and then they could just clear your board super easy. So yeah, just go first. I'd say it's like somewhat favorable for purple black, but obviously Shanks can do what we do and just curve out, and if you don't see like the right stuff, I mean, that's just cards. And then purple Luffy, I went first just to take their curve away. I saw Zoro, then I saw Sanji to pop whatever they just played, and then I think I played I went Frankie Sabo, which was crazy, and then Kaido. So it was like I was able to like build up a wall while still applying a ton of pressure to their life, while at the same time popping their board with like Kaido and Sanji. Other than that, I mean, that's about it. Shanks go first. Delphi, still trying to figure that one out. Honestly, going second felt kind of good. Being able to play Zoro on 4 and then swing 8 at whatever character they just played almost guarantees that either you KO it or you get 2 or 3 cards out of hand. So, which you almost like don't even mind, right? Getting 3 cards out of their hand. And then that just feeds into like the strat of like, because then you go to 7 Don, you can go Top Knot Sanji, and then you start them out of resources and then get them down to, poke them down to like 2 life and then just go for game. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, so that's about it. Purple Black, I think, super slept on. I think it's super good. It is a little like, it is a little RNG. Just if you don't see the cards, you just probably lose. It really sucks. But I do think adding things like Sabo when you're at C event, that just adds like some of the consistency it needs. So if you're playing this, I would recommend at least trying out the event as like a 2 of, and just see how that works. Because I feel like for me, being able to search out like some vital pieces, being able to search out my law searcher feels super good, so I can like get it in my trash and Gecko. Yeah, let us know what you think. And last but not least, if you like the mat that we were playing on, it's from Dueling Guard. We're one of their affiliates, and they do a great job taking care of us. Hooked it up with this super clean mat. They have a lot of great one-piece designs. The feel's super nice, comparable to like the Bandai, the Bandai kind of mats. It's super thick. The stitching on it's great. It's nice and big. If you like bigger mats, this is perfect. And then you can use our code GLG at checkout for a 5% discount. So maybe make it a little easier on the pockets. And don't forget to stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and GLG out.